Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Comics Pals Reviews. Of course, I am your host, Sean, joined this week by Pete.
Yo.
And Marco.
Hello.
We're here to talk about three new number ones, three of the biggest releases in comics this week. Today, we are talking Venom number one.
Whoa.
Oh, that's a sick cover.
That cover's crazy.
Who is that?
You know what? I don't even know, to be honest. I wish they had the name of the art. Well, there is a signature, but I can't read it.
Oh, I heard that.
Very.
Is that the Eminem cover? Or?
We got Thing number one. The
Hell
Thing
yeah.
number one. Yeah.
Great cover.
And then we've also got Robin and Batman number one.
You know, also
Nice.
a great cover. All great covers this week.
Great covers all around. Also, Marco, I do have to say, this cover or this comic book right here, Venom number one, there's an effect that you, Pete, for that matter, don't experience. I'm going to tell you what it is. It smells amazing.
That issue specifically?
Yes, this comic book right here smells amazing, and you will never know that.
Does it have a scratch and sniff?
I wish it did. I
Man,
just opened it up and I was like, wow, this issue smells fantastic. I can't wait to read it.
There's a
Smells like
mystery there I need to know the answer to, right? Of like the supply chain got rerouted and Venom was on a bakery truck, you know?
Yep. With
It was-
or perfume or something, man. I got to tell you, it's just fantastic.
It was the Cheetos from the person who previously picked it up, flipped through it, and went, I don't know about this one.
Okay, first of all, Cheetos, I would know the smell of, and I'm not a fan of. Not particularly, so no. And also, I'd feel that, right? It'd be disgusting. If you were wondering where our reviews are for Image Comics, those are out now. Those go up every single Wednesday. So go check that out. If you leave a comment in the comment section of this video or audio, wherever you're listening to us, we will answer all comments on our main show, The Comics Pals, which drops every single Monday. We talk about the characters and the creators that you love and all the different places you can find them and all the news that's going on with them. So we're going to start today with Venom number one, an interesting new chapter for Venom. Ram V and Al Ewing are the writers on this run, with Brian Hitch doing the pencils, Andrew Curry doing the inks, and Alex Sinclair doing the colors, with Clayton Cowles doing the letters. So already a tremendous creative team. Venom has been on a roll. Donny Cates' run was stellar, ended with the successful King in Black event. Now, the baton has been passed to two creators. So I guess my first question is, how do you feel about where Venom and, Dylan, his son, are kind of like dropped here for this new run? How do you feel about this sort of status quo that we're seeing unfold?
I remember we did like the first issue of the King in Black. I'd followed at least one or two other issues of Venom specifically after that because I was interested in the character, and I think we did a separate Venom review also.
Yeah.
And I think where he's dropped, at least post event, it feels pretty clean. Like things resolved well. I wasn't, what happened in this event and what are the ramifications? I think everything is has been laid out pretty cleanly, and where we find Dylan is similar to where he kind of was starting to feel at towards the end of the event and during that one issue that we had read, and I'm forgetting what number that was, but I think it's done well to set up what happens in this issue and sort of the status quo moving forward, which I thought was pretty interesting. And this was fun. For what we'd been reading for the reviews, Donny Cates did a pretty good job, and I think Ewing and Ram here are continuing, or mostly Ram, I guess, on scripting is continuing that sort of flow and narrative, and I'm having fun.
How about you, Pete?
Yeah, as somebody who only has kind of the cursory knowledge of that stuff that that Marco brought up, of the stuff that we had reviewed, I definitely feel like this issue was a really strong jumping on point, I think, for readers who are maybe like me, who, know Venom, have history with Venom, maybe even have nostalgia for Venom in some ways. But, like, I feel kind of removed from Venom's status as, like, a cosmic being. And not that it doesn't make sense, but it's just far away from, what I think I associate the character with. And like what about him I connect with. And not to say that, that stuff isn't good or isn't valid or anything, but I think this book kind of being like when you get to that second or third page and it's like, oh, it's Dylan. That was an immediate moment for me where I turned on and I was like, oh, I'm way more interested in this. I'm way more interested in the idea of, Eddie's son, who is kind of like struggling with anger and, seems like he's kind of a bit of a screw up and is like kind of, like wayward right now, right? Like his dad is gone and not really there for him and he's struggling and like seeing what he'll do with, this power that's been thrust upon him feels novel and feels like a unique way for like, the quote unquote Venom character to go. And I think it speaks to something that Rom V is really good at, right? Like when in the Swamp Thing of like taking an established mantle and then like passing it to a new character and kind of not necessarily reinventing it, but like changing what it could mean, right? And like showing different ways that you can take those same pieces and kind of restructure them and play a new game, So I think because of all that, it went from being a book that at the jump, I was like a little bit like, what is this going to look like? And like, I'm the obviously Rom being on the book was something that like had my attention, but that as a swerve was something that really, really got me.
It's worth pointing out, by the way, what I'm seeing is that Al Ewing is handling the Eddie Brock parts, the King in Black parts of his life, and then Rom V is handling the Dylan parts.
Okay,
going forward,
Right.
Cool.
So that it's funny that you mentioned that what Rom's skill has been with Swamp Thing because he's literally the writer tasked with that here. I thought this was. I thought this was great. It was a great follow up to King in Black. It feels like it picks up probably like a few weeks after.
Yeah.
Just with where everybody's at. And I was really worried about the Venom in space stuff maybe being a little lame. I haven't really loved that turn for the character in the last decade, but I thought it was handled pretty well. Like a kind of interesting mystery. We don't really know where that's going to go. It expands on Venom's new powers. I guess Eddie's new powers. And now that he's the King in Black, I'm more comfortable with him having these kind of powers. He's not Venom, he's Eddie Brock, King in Black.
Yeah, and I feel like in the same way that, we've said that like that turn doesn't not make sense for the character, I feel like it for like Venom, quote unquote, is something that I've kind of struggled with always a little bit, So yeah, it feels like a smart way to like have your cake and eat it too, and like get to reinvent Venom a little bit, but not sacrifice all the legwork that's been done with the character for the last decade, like you said.
Yeah, just a great first issue, and then from an art perspective, I also thought it was really good. A lot of people are down on Brian Hitch and have negative things to say about him, but every time Brian Hitch is on a book, and I think I say it every time we review a book that he's on, like I get up for this. I love his work. He's a classic Spider-Man artist, and we know his Venom. We've seen his Venom. I thought it was great.
I also really enjoyed it. Whenever you bring up that fact, I'm always like kind of surprised by that. I'm like, yeah, right, that is a thing.
Yes,
I feel like he's good. Like, like I don't get the controversy.
Yeah, I don't understand what is wrong with his art. I think it's all super solid. It
Oh,
communicates.
dude.
Your frog voice,
No.
Marco. I'm leaving it in this time because it's funny.
Damn it. All right, give me a second.
Yeah, I'll pause here while he fixes
Hilarious.
it, but I'm leaving that part in.
Is this better?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what it should sound like.
What did they even say? I don't remember what I was saying. Oh, yeah, I don't get the hate on his art. He does a really good job. It's all super clean. Everything gets communicated really well. Like he doesn't do anything fancy, but I think what we get is very understandable. Like there are the instances where um Dylan gets into that fight, right? And you kind of like it doesn't say that he got in trouble because of the fight. He communicates it to you. He's in the principal's office, and they cut to the next scene where they're throwing punches, and he's talking about it. He's like, "Where's your father been?" And you've really done some damage. And the next scene is they're tussling on the ground, and all that was done really well to communicate, his anger, the events happening, and then the fact that he's upset about his dad not being there.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And Hitch is one of those old school artists, I guess you could say, who has like a very kind of clean, focused style that doesn't really do anything too wild. But it's it's great. And I also think that the colors are great. He's colored really well here too.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know, like, I think it is fair to say that, like, maybe he doesn't do anything that's, like, groundbreaking, but, like, I feel like there's still, like, a lot of really, really good work. Like, the page, I guess it's page 32, 31 maybe. It's the the shot of Venom, and it says, "So I break the only rule that's left," and it's, like, the full pager, and, like, there's really, like, some strong work there, and like the way that he taps into that way that Venom moves and kind of like that wide stance that he's often taking, like I don't know, like it's still really, really strong stuff, even if it's not the flashiest or most groundbreaking stuff.
And at a time it was, think about who influenced more artists with their style than Brian Hitch on Ultimates, right? Just a hugely influential artist. This was great. I can't wait to see what Ram and Al have in store for these two characters. I didn't realize that the story would be sort of split in that way. That actually makes me more excited for the future of this book.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're, for an issue 1 coming out the gate, I thought it did everything it needed to do. It gave us what the emotional hook is. It showed us what's going to be fun about this. It gave us everything we need to know to make a determination about whether we want to follow this book. And I do.
Yeah, I'd say pull it.
Yeah, definitely pull it.
Yep. Same.
This next upcoming book is one that I almost didn't even want to pull this week. The Thing by Walter Mosley, Tom Riley, Jordi Belair. Jordi Belair, another one that I feel is just strapped into a warehouse or a basement somewhere, just constantly doing colors. Joe Sabino's here as well on letters. You know what, though? I'm glad I did pull this. This was phenomenal. This was a great comic book.
This was my pick of the week.
My pick of the week, too.
No surprise.
Super strong, man. The art style was just like, so clean. This super, cartoony, very classic golden age-esque art style. It kind of reminded me of like a Darwin Cook, but just like mixing in like a bit of like a Greg Smallwood with some of the inks and stuff. I thought it was phenomenal, and the pacing of the story. Like I don't think I've ever read a straight on just like the Thing book, and I was having fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that artistically this book just had so much style. I'm really, really a sucker for books that can tap into that kind of classic style without feeling like because this doesn't look like what comics looked like back then, right? You know what I mean? Like it's almost like a period piece, but in comic form in a weird
Yep.
way, you know?
Yep.
It's such a love letter to that golden age, you know, vibe. And that's something that I really, really dig. I love when a modern team can execute on that and do it well because, you know, I love the aesthetic of that era as much as like I think some of those comics are not always as fun to read, you know, as they are to look at. And I think that's like what's fun about this, right? Is it taps into that energy, but the script is very like it's a character piece, right? Like it's a very, very emotionally driven character piece. And, you know, Ben is such a perfect character for that because he's such a tragic figure, you know? Like we've talked a lot about that before, right? Just that, you know, that struggle that is so core to his character of like him, you know, being a member of the Fantastic Four and getting to be one of the world's greatest heroes and have this family with the Four and everything, but that like the trade-off for that is, you know, like the world sees him as a monster, right? Even if he's a hero. And, you know, seeing him kind of struggle with that and struggle with, you know, like everyone else, you know, having these other responsibilities and these other lives and these other opportunities that he doesn't maybe have the same, you know, options for was something that like it resonated with me. You know, it's like it's a kind of a small, quiet issue, but I really, really appreciated its pace.
I got Daniel Warren Johnson like whatchamacallit vibes, like
Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah, where it's a very much that character piece like you mentioned. It's, you know, solely focused on him, how he's feeling, the relationships that he has, and it immediately reminded me of like, oh man, I wonder if this is gonna be like a thing that Marvel does. They kind of just throw out these, you know, every random characters and here just take sort of creative control with this team or a single artist and just kind of like run with it. Because if this is what they're continuing to do, I'm gonna be picking up these one-offs.
It's funny because I wish Tyler was here for this. Like, first of all, I know he probably is somewhere saying this is his pick of the week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just to someone on the streets, like,
just
hey,
shaking somebody.
Yeah, you see this comic? This was my pick of the week. You know, this feels like it could have come out in 2006, 2007,
2066.
Like this is a timeless comic book. It strikes me at that time because I feel like they were giving a lot of chances to characters like the Thing. But this was the art style was timeless, but also, you know, Walter Mosley. I don't think I've read anything by them before. The name does not strike me.
I don't think I've ever heard his name before.
Yeah. But, you know, in a similar way to how Daniel Warren Johnson, you know, really nailed Beta Ray Bill. Like, yeah, he nailed Beta Ray Bill, but do we really know who Beta Ray Bill is? He kind of was able to put his stamp on Beta Ray Bill. The Thing is a character who has a rich history. He's a character we really know a lot about. There's a lot that's been said about him. And it's hard to take a character and put your stamp on them when so many have come before and done that. And I feel like this issue is him on that road.
That's what's interesting too, right? Is because like everything that really works about this issue and like this story, it's not new, right? Like not one thing that's said here about the Thing is the first time the Thing's been portrayed this way, but it's just got that special sauce, right? Like it feels fresh, and I think part of that is that, you know, it's a tight script, but also like just the art is so, I know we already said, but it's so good. And like the colors are really strong. Yep. You know, like that whole segment where he's in the dream and it's like all bathed in red. It looks like you're like looking through half of a set of 3D glasses. All the shots where he's in his apartment and it's in these like dark blues. You know, then like the nightclub has that like warm, smoky, noir kind of palette. Like Jesus Christ. I mean, it's really, really impressive work.
It's funny because when I saw that we got this, I was like, they're reading this. I'm like, all right, the Thing, I guess. Well, I'll see how it is. And then I saw Jodie Biller was on it. I'm like, oh, word. Okay, I'm probably gonna like this. Like, she does projects that I like.
Yep.
I did a quick Google of Walter Mosley. Apparently this is so on Comixology. This is his first and only credit on a comic. So
What?
googling him, he's actually a novelist,
There you
Okay.
go.
known
Yeah.
for the Easy Rollins mysteries. That has almost upwards of 10 individual mystery novels.
Cool.
Wow. I think he's black too.
He is, yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Hey man, I mean, he's doing good stuff.
69 years old and you write your first comic. Never give up.
He's 69 years old.
My man is 69 years old.
Holy shit.
Yep.
That's crazy.
That's rookie of the year.
What is the that Marvel initiative from like all the up and coming
Stormbreakers.
Yeah.
He's a
This guy.
Stormbreaker.
Shit. I mean,
I gotta tell you, this is one of the best comics of the year.
yeah.
Get out.
Yeah, this is
No,
my
I
pick of
agree.
the week. I think this is one of the best comics of 2020. Whenever we do our 2021 list, best books, this has to be at least in consideration. I can't see how it's not. My literal only minor gripe, and it's such a irrelevant nitpick, but I just thought it was funny and annoying how quickly Alicia was willing to like leave the thing, like end the relationship. Like,
I was getting the vibe that they were like had been going through things because that's why she was hanging out with this other dude and he had all those love letters on the table.
Wait,
well,
what dude had love letters?
the guy that Alicia's like her work buddy or whatever the heck.
Yeah, but then he got a bunch of letters from like the mailman for a second, and like I assumed those were all because they have like the heart on them. They're all like letters from her, and like they haven't
okay.
been talking and seeing each other and stuff.
Interesting. Yeah, I kind of got the impression that they were on the rocks anyway, but I also thought that was funny. Sean, I was like, damn, all right, like,
Yeah, one mistake.
It's like, because it's like, it'd be one thing if they were like dating, and it's like, oh, my girlfriend, right? But it's like, yo, you're engaged, like,
Yeah, my man had a bad day. Like the thing just had a really bad day. Even like we haven't discussed the actual plot because the plot is like if you think about what a Thing story would be, it's that. He's down on his luck. He's got nobody in his life. He's looking for friendship and love, and he's a great guy. And somebody's messing with citizens, and he's gonna have to deal with that somehow. That's the story. Like it doesn't matter. It's what happens within the margins of that make this such a great comic book, and one that I think you should absolutely pull. Can't sing the praises enough.
yeah, absolute must buy.
You know what else I think is a must buy?
What's that?
A PS5. Walmart has restocked, and
This episode brought to you by Walmart.
and Sony. No, Robin and Batman. I also thought this was great. Just what a great week for comics.
This flowed, I thought, excellently. The way it kind of uses the nightmare and dream and fantasy motif at the beginning, throughout, at the end, I thought carried it really well. And the man Dustin Nguyen, like, amazing. Like, captures everything, the emotions, the action in this really watercolor style that can do no wrong. And then to team up with Jeff Lemire, they did the Descender and Ascender stuff, which has been phenomenal. This is a team that's already really strong, and now they get a bat at Batman in a really nice, compelling story about it.
Speaking of the creative team, it's Jeff Lemire, art and colors by Dustin Nguyen, and letters by Steve Wands. This is a one of three, so not going to be here for a long time, but from what I can see, definitely a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I for the fact that it was one of three, I was glad that it was a slightly longer issue.
Yeah,
like I thought that really helped the pace of it, because I think similarly to Thing, while this is clearly setting up like a broader story. Like it also works really well just as one issue. And similarly, it's just a good character study with fucking killer art, right? Like if this was just the whole story and it was just like a thing about, Robin, right? And how he feels in the shadow of Batman at this point in his career. It's like, yeah, like you'd be down with that, as a one shot. But the fact that it is clearly setting up like a richer emotional story about Dick is, I think, like really, really good. There's a lot of meat on this bone. I think the script in particular is super strong.
There's a lot of meat on the dick, says Pete and Bessie.
I mean,
we've had enough dick in Batman comics.
Indirect quote, but I stand by it.
They minced words, but
yeah, I mean, you mentioned it's a character study of Robin. I feel like Dick Grayson does not get a lot of attention when it comes to his Robin years. We're also focused on Nightwing and other characters who have been Robin since then, which is fair. He's grown up to have this, amazing identity all his own. It's cool to go back and see a story from this time, a time that's not really that well explored, or they don't tread this ground too often anymore. A time where it's still a younger Batman, but he just now got Dick. This is his first Robin. Wow, he got Dick. Sorry guys, I'm 12.
I'm not gonna lie, the way that you said that too, I also thought it said he just got his first Throbbin, and I was like, okay, he must be doing this on purpose.
It's a real coming of age story. It's a story. You know what? No. I like so much of what Jeff Lemire does here, getting to see the world through Robin's eyes. A boy wonder who we always think of as having been such a bright spot in Bruce's life. Well, here's a time where that wasn't necessarily the case. Here's a time when he didn't have a bright spot for himself. This is his parents just died, right? We don't see this Dick very often. I'm doing my best. So that's really cool. It's really cool to get to see this.
Yeah, and I liked the ways in which it felt like mundane sometimes. Like there's a lot of moments between Bruce and Dick where like it feels very much like just a sitcom-y kind of like, father-son dynamic, like the thing where he's like, get in the damn car, and then there's like that page of just them just angrily driving together, he tries to talk and he's just like, shut up.
Yeah. On the art front, Sean, if you could pull it up, it's page 10 where we first see Batman and he comes in. He's like, "I told you to abort the mission."
Sure, yeah. This is
that
incredible
depiction of Batman is amazing. Like right next to the car, he's coming out, like the tails of his cape are all flying around.
Yeah. Yep. That was tremendous. You talk about best of the year. For me, that's one of the best panels of the year.
Yeah.
Yep.
It makes Batman look like a ghost or a figure more than an actual flesh and blood man, which is what you always try to do with Batman, when you want that cool shot. They got it right there.
Yeah, I like books that let Batman have a little bit of mystique,
Yep.
Because like I feel like sometimes like when you get into like the Justice League cosmic realm and everything, like he feels so normal,
Have you ever read Joker by Brian Azzarello?
No, I don't have it.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Oh, really?
It does a similar thing with Batman where the story is about the Joker and like what it means that he exists, how that affects Gotham. And Batman's not really ever there, but you feel him all the time. And you know that the fate of the Joker is to be stopped by Batman. So when Batman finally comes, I don't even think there's a line of dialogue for him. He's just like this monstrous presence that it's like, yeah, it's so cool. It's obviously this is different from that, but if you like that kind of showcase for Batman, that's a great one.
I
The
thought.
other, go ahead.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say the other character who really stands out here, and it's amazing. You know, you talk about someone who's really paying attention. For Jeff Lemire to think of adding Killer Croc to the story and doing some cool stuff with Waylon Jones, a character that is so one note. You know, he's always portrayed as just this heavy, you know, this monster who's just always someone's, you know, side piece in the story. Look at Catwoman, Lonely City, right? Here we find the ways in which he and Dick Grayson are similar. You know, Dick was having the time of his life as a part of this circus, and you know that forward facing aspect of the circus that's so fun. And then Waylon Jones is like remembering his experience, and you know, it wasn't so good. I really like that connection, that connective tissue.
Yeah, that's like a smart way to connect those characters. You know, like I never really thought of.
Yeah, I
It's
wonder
clever.
if that was like actually how it like the history of the character, because I this is the first time I've ever heard of his origin being coming out of like a circus and freak show situation.
I've never heard it, but I think just even thinking about the character, like, well, what was his childhood like? Like just putting yourself in those thoughts, you know, which is more than maybe a lot of other writers have done for Waylon Jones. Just taking that moment to have that thought is how you get this kind of cool shit, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to talk about, which is I think kind of in a similar vein, is I think that script wise, this presented a version of Bruce that I really, really appreciated. I mean, he was a fucking asshole,
Yes.
but I feel like Jeff really tapped into like a good portrayal of Bruce, because I feel like it's so easy to like overwrite Batman, right? Where it's like you can either make him like too powerful, too perfect, too, you know, he just does the right thing all the fucking time, and you know, he's got that Mary Sue energy. And
Yep.
or you can do the opposite and be like, Batman's a piece of shit, he's a monster, he's a fascist, he's insane, right? And it's like those are like the two modes that I feel like you often get. And I feel like Jeff does a good job of presenting this younger, more vulnerable version of Bruce, where like he is like being a hard-headed asshole. He's being rude to, you know, Alfred in a way that like I feel like we don't often see, you know?
Right.
That was something that was like surprising to me, you know, the way he kind of just blows him off. But then like the way that he responds to Dick feeling betrayed, that he like read his journal and kind of violated his trust in that way, you know, and he's like upset that he's like, you know, he thought he was doing this nice thing. He thought he was giving him this gift that he would really appreciate, and that it would be a moment for them to bond. And he realizes how totally off base he is, and how fucking selfish, and, you know, like, just how he's not meeting this kid where he is, right? Like he's trying to turn him into something or use him in a way that is like not fair to him, you know? And like, yeah, that's just like a good moment, you know? It's so well crafted, and like you feel how much his energy shifts in those 3 panels. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I was a little bit chafed by how like angry Batman seems to be, but then I tried to put myself in the mindset of like post year one, like forget Robin's there almost. Like what was he like? And
right
now, boom, now he has Robin. You know, we always, whenever we see Batman and Robin from that era, we always think of, you know, a happier Bruce, but he's not there yet.
He hasn't
and
been
so once
softened.
that kind of right, yes, once that clicked for me, then I was able to accept this version. And yeah, you're right. I think it's an amazing decision on Jeff's part to portray Batman like this while he has Robin, because it's really unexplored territory. And it's just a great story. Like, what a phenomenal week.
I know.
No, we didn't make a single negative comment about any of these books.
I don't have one. Like,
I can give you one.
Script. Oh, well, go ahead, Marco. Ruin the streak.
That there wasn't a fourth amazing comic this week to try to review.
All right, okay.
Fair enough. Well, we should have reviewed Static 4 then.
Yeah, right? There probably was.
All right. Oh, let's not push it.
Wow.
Fun fact, I could not get Static number 4 this week because it was sold out.
Wow.
Love to see that.
Yep.
If you want, you can just sign in to DC Infinite app, and it's right there.
Yeah, great. Then I will have that sweet cover, the cover B that everyone's obsessed with, that I will never have now. Yeah, pull this too. Pull them all.
Yeah, I think pull all three of these books. And I'll say Thing was my pick of the week, but it was a tight competition against this book. Because I also really was like pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed this book.
Frankly, you guys kind of sold me on Thing. Like, I introduced it and you guys were like, yep, book of the week. And I was like, damn, yeah, you know what? This is the fucking book of the week.
This book fucking slaps.
This is the book of the week.
Like you were like unsure, then you got talked into. You're like, you know what? Fuck yeah.
Yeah, exactly, Marco. So yeah, great stuff from both Marvel and DC this week. This is just the tip of the iceberg for all the awesome books that came out this week. But normally we would go and tell you guys what we're looking forward to next week that's dropping. The resource I typically use is Midtown Comics, and they're not updating for next week until tomorrow because of the supply chain stuff.
Wow, it's that fucking bad?
Yeah.
Good God.
Yeah. So I'm not even sure what books are coming out next week. I don't even know how to do that segment because we're in such a weird spot with all this stuff.
I love that. I cannot tell you what books we'll be reading next week because we do not know what books exist.
Will be out.
Yeah, like it could be anything next week. On the main show we talked about delays to a lot of the books that are on the horizon. So this is just par for the course at this point, I guess.
Well, if we were, and supposedly, according to Comixology, Primordial number 3 comes out, and I'd be very excited about that.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Wait, does it? Didn't we just read number 2?
I feel like we just read number 2. Yes.
Supposedly,
is that book early somehow? What's happening?
Says it's on the docket. I don't know.
Everything's all over the place. I might have found a listing of books, although keep in mind it's entirely possible that this list will change and that whatever I'm saying here will not be true. But if you want to look for yourselves, previewsworld.com does have a list, so you can go there to see what new books are coming out. I gotta tell you, this upcoming week isn't lighting me on fire. Spoke too soon. I see X-Men number 5.
Oh yeah.
All right, there we go.
I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, so X-Men's been great. Unfortunately, we did lose Pepe Larraz on the creative team. That sucks. But with Jonathan Hickman on his way out, this is the book. This is where we have to go to see what's unfolding with some of those, spinning plates that are up in the air for this team. So I'm still into it.
Am I crazy? I went to their website and it says no books for next week.
All right. Well,
I guess my pick is also X-Men.
That list I just referenced is as of 3 days ago. So maybe since then things have changed.
They're like, we don't know.
Yeah.
Damn, that's so interesting. It's not on Comixology, actually.
There you go. And by the way, we'll certainly talk about this on the main show this week. But as of my knowledge today, Diamond is under siege. They are being held hostage by a ransomware group.
What?
So yeah.
No way.
I don't even know what's gonna happen with that.
Oh my God.
The comics industry is on fire, people. You got terrorism, you got supply chains, no paper. I saw that bags and boards are now selling for more than ever before. You're better off buying them as collectibles and opening them now. This is insane.
You want some bags of boards? $5 a piece. It's crazy. I'm about to just go get all my bags and start going hanging outside comic book stores in a trench coat.
Yeah.
yeah.
Just pull up. He's like, I got some in the van. Like, we can
come on, come to the trunk of my car. I got bags, boards, and log boxes for you.
There you go. That's a money-making possibility now. I actually have unopened bag and board situations that I can sell right now. So if you're trying to spend some money, holler at your boy. I will gladly sell those to you. Yes, for a markup. Times are tough. Thank you so much for listening to our reviews this week. Let us know what you're looking forward to next week if you can figure out what's coming out and what you thought of the books that came out this week. Listen to our main show, The Comics Pals, which drops every single Monday. Listen to our image reviews, which drop every single Wednesday, youtube.com/The Comics Pals. Subscribe to our channel for free. We're on the road to 500 subscribers, so it'd mean a lot if you would hit that subscribe button. It helps us out a ton, and it costs you nothing to do. So thank you guys so much for listening. Until next week, for Pete and Marco, I am Sean saying take care, guys.